Good morning, everybody. Hope you've had a good week, good weekend planned. Thank you for taking a few moments of it here. If you want to follow along, Genesis chapter number 13, and we will begin in verse number 10. And if you want to follow along as you're doing that, if you would like, share, comment on the post, and then we will pick up as Lot makes his decision here in verse number 10. It says, "And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the Jordan Valley was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, in the direction of Zoar." This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east. Thus they separated from each other. Lot is about to make a decision that will alter the course of his life, alter the course of his family's life, alter the course of history for that matter. We still today talk about Sodom and Gomorrah. We still talk about the sin and the wickedness that was there. And this decision right here, which looks like in many ways a fairly benign decision. Again, we can discuss the whole issue of choosing ahead of the elder statesman, of being greedy, all those things, and we have, and we will again in this decision. But it seems like a fairly straightforward decision. It's a decision that most people wouldn't question. It's a land that's good for cattle, and I have cattle. But it is a decision. This one decision is the first step on the road to Lot and his family's destruction. And there's a great warning, a great lesson there for us. As we many times throughout a day make decisions. Hard to say how many decisions we make. I don't even know if it's possible to count the number of decisions we make. Granted, some of them are far more important, at least on the surface, than others. We decide, we get up in the morning, we decide what color shirt we're going to put on, we decide which shoes we're going to wear, we decide the route to work, we decide what we're going to have for lunch. We make a lot of decisions in a day's time, and many of those decisions never amount to anything. But we need to always be aware that any decision could be the decision that alters life, and this decision is one that has labeled Lot and hung a sign around his neck for eternity, I guess, of selfishness, of greed, of ungratefulness. As he did this, again, his uncle has offered him first choice, and we see here what Lot does when Abram gives him this choice. The next thing we read is that Lot lifted up his eyes and saw the Jordan Valley. That he lifted up his eyes. He didn't look up to Abram and say, "Thank you, Uncle. You sure?" He didn't look up to God and say, "What should I do?" It appears to me when I read that, it strikes me that he'd already been looking. He already had his eyes. He had already been thinking this through. He immediately lifts up his eyes to the land. Again, he doesn't. We don't even see any indication of, if you drop down again to verse 11, Lot chose for himself the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east. Boom. It's like, he was shot out of a cannon. He couldn't wait to get to this land. Again, no recording of thank you, goodbye, go jump in a lake, anything. He just, he looks around, he's gone. It's like he already had his bags packed before Abram even gave him the decision, gave him the opportunity to make the choice. I have to read it and wonder if Lot hadn't been planning on cutting out in the middle of the night and taking that land to begin with. But his selfishness, his greed, led him in that direction. And again, and it is a decision. It is a decision that that on the surface is a good business decision. It is a good agricultural decision. It's a good cattle keeper decision. But when we take into mind that Abram had taken Lot in and raised him and tended to him when Lot's father had passed away. He had got him going in this business. The reason Lot had animals that needed grass was because of what Abram had done for him today. But yet his selfish greed wouldn't allow him to see that. And one decision altered history. One decision changed the course of Lot and set him on a path as he headed east and headed out towards Sodom, just one step closer to the world, to the things of, to the place of sin. One decision. Let's be cautious and consider that. Again, you're going to make thousands of decisions today. Most of them won't amount to anything, but we never know which decision might be life changing. Think about it. You have a good day. We'll see you here Monday morning.